Hello everyone, it's Terry here. I am so excited to share this card that I created a little while ago, and I finally have the video up. So I wanted to share this cute shaker macaron card that I created for Possum Stamps. So let's get started. Okay, so to start off my card, I went ahead and stamped out the images onto white cardstock. I use an alcohol-friendly ink, and this one here that I'm using for this particular card is the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And the white cardstock that I'm using today is Nina Solar White 110 pounds. So I'm using my Copic markers to color each of the macarons in. And I will go ahead and play some music here so you can enjoy the coloring process. And as usual, I will leave a time up above. If you're not a big fan of coloring, you can go ahead and forward it to the time above. Okay, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, and after coloring, I went ahead and fussy cut all of the macarons out. So now that all of the macarons and pieces are ready to assemble, I am going to create the shaker well. So using one of the frame dies that I have in my stash, this one is by My Favorite Things, I believe. I will link it for sure in the bottom of my description if you're interested. So I did cut the frames out about 5 times, and what I'm doing here is I'm layering about 4 of the frames together. Then I went in with strong double-sided adhesive and applied that onto the layered frames. Then going in with my acetate sheet, I laid that on top of the frames. Here's a tip when laying down your acetate sheet to double-sided tape. I like using the corner edges of anything that you have. For this video, I'm using my score buddy. So I laid the layered frames on the corner edges of the score buddy, and I laid down the acetate sheet on top of that. I like placing it in the corner edges of something because I'm pretty clumsy, and every time I adhere anything to anything and I wanted it to be straight, it doesn't ever turn out straight. So I found that adhering thing this way helps with the alignment of my card. Okay, so the background of my card panel is pretty simple. I just went in with a few distress oxide inks in similar colors to the macaron and blended the colors behind the macarons. Adding a little bit of shading behind the colored image creates some drama to the card front. And I also decided to add a little bit of ink splatters to the back of the card front. So just going in with some of the Distress Oxide inks, I applied that onto an acrylic block, spritz it down with water, and use my paintbrush to flick it onto the background. Okay, so now going back to the colored macarons, I wanted to add a little bit of texture to it. So what I like to do is I like to apply glossy accents onto my colored images. So for this one here, I'm applying it to the center of the macarons, and I sprinkled on fine glitter on top of that. So this creates some sort of a frosty effect. I really love doing this. So I went ahead and did the same process to all of the colored macarons. And you want to make sure to let this dry, otherwise it's going to smear and it's not going to look nice. So I want to say that I let it dry out for maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so here's a close-up look at the macaron. Isn't it so nice and sparkly? So I went ahead and laid out my card front. And once I was happy with the placement, I went ahead and applied liquid adhesive onto the back of the macarons. I am adhering it down in rainbow order, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So now let's talk about the shaker elements. So I'm going in with some sequins from Possum Stamps. This one's called Diamond Diva, and I'm applying that to the top of my card panel. And remember the frame acetate that we created earlier? The reason why I layered all of the die cut frames together is to create somewhat of a well. Sure, you can use foam tape, but I found that this way is easier and it was a little more sturdier. So I went ahead and applied double-sided tape on top of the frame dies and adhere that on top of the background with the sequins in the center. Then I used my scissors to trim off the edges of the card panel. Now it's time to put everything together. So I went ahead and adhered the shaker part of the card to a matted red cardstock. And I adhered that onto a white top folding card base. And finally, I added a sentiment strip to the bottom half of the card. And this completes the card. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, and comment. Okay, until next time, have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.